What is the dumbest thing you've ever received hate for? For talking to a guy I met on a dating site not knowing he was in a relationship. Dude was messaging me on a dating app, we met up and he seemed cool. We hung out once, he wasn't my type and we parted on good terms, and then his fiancée called me. I said I was sorry, I had no idea. I stopped talking to the guy instantly, but I still faced 6 to 8 months of harassment from this woman and her friends. Threats of rape, I got told I wouldn't live to see my next birthday, I got told I was fat and a slut, they called me non-stop, they said that they knew where I lived, where I went to uni. I even got threats on my blog that I had set up for uni. It was intense. I ended up getting the police involved. From what I know, she stayed with him, but somehow I was in the wrong even though I had no idea she existed. He did nothing wrong, it was all me, fucking ridiculous. I'ma do the Reddit thing. Not me but my dad. So my dad used to have trouble remembering names, so he would call people boss. Some dude went up to him and got really mad at this nickname. When my dad asks why, the dude no joke says, boss backwoods means sorry son of a bitch. And that is the most pathetic cry for attention I've ever heard. When my son was a baby, his father's cousin threatened to kill my son. She said a lot of mean and hateful things about me and my son. Shortly after, his other cousin's girlfriend did the same thing. All because my boyfriend's family were demanding a DNA test. I just said, why should I have two? Did your cousin's girlfriend do a DNA test? Did your brother's girlfriends do a DNA test? Apparently that meant I was talking bad about children and we both deserved to be killed. Later that week I moved out and switched jobs. Afterwards, my boyfriend's sister texted me telling me she was going to take my son. She didn't even ask, she just said I'm going to pick him up for a few hours. When I said he's not allowed near the cousin and the cousin's girlfriend, she flipped out saying she will take my son anywhere that she wants and there's nothing I can do about it. I blocked that entire family, and 3 years later they still say I talked bad about kids when not once did I say anything bad about a child. Rolling eyes face. For making hot chocolate last year's Christmas, some lady was criticizing me for being an adult, making hot chocolate, saying that's for children. I was having a nice romantic Christmas dinner with my fiancée, so I wanted to make a Dutch hot chocolate with a chocolate liqueur, whipped topping. I just looked at her like she was crazy. Edit: this happened at a store. I was telling my fiancée what we needed to make dinner and dessert, and the lady was eavesdropping. I needed the hot cocoa, so we could have cookies and cocoa, and watch some Christmas movies together. Reading too much. My mom used to get mad at me, an elementary school kid, for going to the library and getting a big stack of books and reading through them all in a day. And I mean, she was pissed. She'd kick me out to go play and I would just sit outside in the grass for a few hours and wait to go back to reading. Lol. I was selling British VHS tapes on ebay.co.uk. They were listed on eBay in PAL videotapes. I had an American buyer leave negative feedback as it wasn't clear that his low quality NTSC only VCR would not play the tape. They left negative feedback and said my listing was misleading. I added a disclaimer for all subsequent listings. I still had another American message me complaining. When I said that one of his fellow countrymen had encountered a similar problem, he thought I was calling him a hillbilly and left hateful negative feedback too. Having a very old, sick cat put to sleep instead of just letting her slowly die. She had stopped eating and wouldn't move. She just sat in the same spot dying. I took her to the vet and we wound up euthanizing her. Apparently I am an evil bitch for not just letting her starve herself to death. She was 15 years old. My ex-wife made up a bogus DV claim in order to help her case in family court when she decided she wanted a divorce and fully custody of the children. The police issued a 2-week temporary restraining order based on her say-so and pointed out to me that they didn't actually require any evidence and that nothing I had to say mattered. She then went around to all of our friends/neighbors and perpetuated this made-up nonsense, using the existence of the temporary order to add credibility to things. Obviously, when this went to court, the judge immediately tossed it out due to a lack of any actual evidence, but by then the damage was done and everyone believed I was a wife beater. Out of about 20 people or so, only one thought this sounded a bit strange and contacted me to figure out what had happened, but he's since been barred from communicating with me by his wife, who chooses to believe my ex instead. She really took this made-up victim thing to the extreme, even going so far as to go on a government-funded wellness retreat for survivors of abuse. Not being able to have children. A guy took it upon himself to introduce me to concepts such as IVF and surrogacy. When I told him those wouldn't work, he basically told me, well, it's no wonder you have no children if you won't even consider the most basic of options. My eggs work perfectly fine, as far as I know. But pregnancy would literally kill me, and I'm on life-saving medications that would cause severe birth defects. But fuck me, a Mirite? Just a choosy beggar, a wannabe victim. ETA before someone tells me just adopt/get a cat because someone always does, you're not nearly as helpful as you think you are. For being 5 feet 9 inches. Someone at work mentioned me being tall for a woman, and I said that 5 feet 9 inches isn't super tall, and they called me a liar, and got pissed at me because obviously I was at least 6 feet tall, because he was 5 feet 11 inches and I'm taller than him. Buddy, I know how tall I am and it ain't 6 foot. I made a comment on Reddit saying letting a dog lick your mouth is gross and people got mad. The most memorable response was your pets must have never really loved you, because I don't let them lick my mouth. I didn't even think it was that hot of a take, but I guess people take swapping saliva with their pets very seriously. Oh boy, I get to take out my list at long last. Yes, I'm in therapy. Not liking the original Lion King, prior to that it was never having seen it. Not biting my fingernails. Liking Pokemon. Being an alcoholic, which I admit isn't that strange, except for the fact that I in fact don't drink at all. Looking at someone, who thought I liked her, again not that weird, except I'm quite literally blind, and deeply disliked her. Being tall. Not being bisexual enough. Not watching MTV. Being a diabetic and not believing that type 1 diabetes would be cured by vitamin B12. Thinking a dude who tracked a woman down, to the exact seat on a plane, based of a photo she had posted of the airplane window was a creep. Not being blind enough. Not being disabled enough. I think that's most of the highlights. Got perma-banned from r/space for explaining the surprisingly true fact that you can safely view a solar eclipse through a telescope during totality. Everyone including the mods refused to believe that I'd actually done it on an eclipse cruise along with a couple thousand amateur astronomers, and the sight is unbelievably amazing. They all called me a liar because their elementary school teachers didn't know either, and they accused me of trying to blind children. Why? Eventually a mod said I might be right, but the ban would stand because it would be a dangerous fact that could cause people to look at the sun outside of totality. Sheesh. Asking out my high school crush, a lot of girls hated me so much because of this. They were after him because of his height. He's a really tall guy, but I didn't care about that. His personality had got my attention. And 7 years later I'm still with him. I've gotten hate from my classmates several times, because I made references to ongoing jokes in class. It's like when others say it's fine, but when I say the exact same thing then it's somehow offensive. I think it has to do with the fact that I didn't really socialize much in class, so people didn't trust me and the things I said. When I was 12 there was this really racist and homophobic kid who called me El Chapo, Coke Man, as in the drug, wall hopper, and more terms I would rather not say. So one day I had enough of this racist bullshit, and went ballistic on this guy, yelled "you fucking Nazi" as loud as I could in his face, and other stuff. Looking back I regret saying a little bit. Week after I'm at school and everyone other than my small friend circle gives me angry looks and pick on me more. Took me 2 days to realize I was getting hate for standing up to a racist. TLDR got hate for standing up to a racist. Recently on Reddit, I got slammed for saying that the public burning of the bodies of terrorists was not appropriate, and wouldn't be a deterrent to future acts of violence. For correcting the answers on a bar trivia quiz. Friend who invited me had 2 friends who were getting all the answers wrong, so I was correcting them and getting them right. I guess that was me coming off as an asshole. The questions were about sports, and that was specifically why my friend invited me. I dropped him after that. Being an atheist, but not just that, being something else in their mind. I was asked by an ex's mother, "Oh, so do you go to church?" I said no, I'm an atheist. She responded, "Oh, so you are a Satanist then?" To me that's confusing, as to be a Satanist, like legitimately and not in the way it's used in the US, would imply I also believe in God, which invalidates the whole point of being an atheist in the first place. We literally went back and forth for like 15 minutes. No, I'm an atheist, so a Satanist then? No, an atheist Satanist? In the end I just stopped talking, as trying to explain why that was incredibly stupid was not really worth my time. Thank you for watching Reddit Stories. May you and your loved ones have a blessed day.